Mary, there's a burglar! Unaware that Tom and Kelly were in the midst of something in the basement, the father mistakenly locked them in, thinking they were burglars. Panicked, the father was about to call the cops, but I stopped him and told him a shocking truth. Learning the shocking truth, the father trembled with anger and decided to call the stepfather and all the relatives to the basement. I won't forgive those two who betrayed me. I'll show them hell. To settle past grievances, I decided to punish the oblivious and carefree duo. My name is Mary Yuan. I'm 29 and just got engaged last month. My fiancé, Tom Taylor, was a classmate from high school. Although we never interacted during our school days, we reconnected after I started working. Tom, who had been employed before I graduated from college, took care of me as my mentor. I never thought you'd work at our company, Mary. You were always so academically gifted and I had pegged you for a science path. Never imagined you'd be interested in a publishing house like this. Tom was very caring and incredibly serious. He patiently taught me the ropes at work and quickly covered for my mistakes. Despite being the same age, he was reliable, which was very reassuring. Tom, you've changed, haven't you? Back in school, you seemed more effeminate, for lack of a better word, less reliable, but now it's completely different. You seem much more dependable than I would expect for someone our age. Initially, I referred to Tom by his last name. Tom called me Ms. Yuan, and nobody thought we would become close. Hey, calling me effeminate is a bit much. Well, I guess I was more of an introvert in high school, so I can't really blame you for thinking that. This changed at the new employee welcome party. Tom happened to sit next to me and struck up a conversation. As we reminisced about our school days and discovered similar interests, we clicked. Before we knew it, we were going out for drinks privately. Getting to know him outside of work, I learned that he loved books more than I realized, and he had even aspired to be a novelist. Remember in high school, how I was always writing stuff at my desk during breaks? That was for novels I was submitting to publishers. That reminded me of when Tom was awarded in front of the whole school. The young man who had been slumped over his desk at the edge of the classroom had achieved such a feat. It was impossible not to be captivated. That award was because the novel won first prize. I wasn't interested in novels, but the thought of that shy young man putting so much effort into his work was memorable. I found myself wanting to see the work he had spent so much time getting immersed in. And when I looked at his work out of curiosity, my perspective changed. I was captivated by the compelling story. Since then, the way I looked at him changed. I gave up on pursuing a career in science and decided to work at a publishing company instead. My twin sister, Kelly, who had followed me into science, complained a lot. Why did you quit that major electronics manufacturer, Mary? You said you were considering working there. Kelly is different from me, she's flashy and stands out. She was part of the popular group in class, and I, being plain, often ended up as her foil. Standing next to Mary really makes Kelly look like a catch. I get it. She has a great figure and is so pretty you'd doubt they're twins. Mary isn't bad, but Kelly is just too cute to notice. If I had to choose, I'd definitely go for Kelly. Mary is more like a good friend than a girlfriend. I was ridiculed and compared to Kelly every day. Unlike me, Kelly was doted on by our parents, especially our mother's favoritism towards her was terrible. Unlike me, who could only draw attention with my studies, Kelly was praised no matter what she did. She was praised for just helping out a little and called cute for just smiling. While I envied Kelly, I also found her annoying. I first felt this deeply when we were in elementary school. Since we share the same birthday, we were always celebrated together. Everyone would congratulate Kelly first, and the wishes for me would always come later. Especially my mother was the worst. Happy birthday, Kelly! And you too, Mary. You should try harder in your studies. Without a word of congratulations for me, Kelly monopolized our mother's wishes. Feeling lonely about this, I desperately wanted to be praised by my mother. With that in mind, I worked hard on a test and managed to get perfect score. If I show this to Mom, she'll surely be pleased. That day was our 10th birthday party. If I showed the test results to my mother before the party started, maybe I could get her to congratulate me first. Filled with that hope, I headed to the kitchen. Then, I witnessed a shocking scene. "Hey, Mom! Look, this! I got 90 on my test." Kelly had shown her test results before I did. Usually, Kelly scored below average. So her managing to get a 90 was bound to be praised by Mom. And there she was, giving Kelly the very congratulations I wanted to hear first. "Kelly, you really did work hard. How about we add another chicken to today's birthday party? Or is there a toy you'd want as a reward? We could go buy it this weekend, you know?" "Mom, me too. I worked hard on my test too. Look." In a rush, I showed my perfect score test, but the smile vanished from Mom's face instantly, replaced by a stern look directed at me. "Don't get carried away over such things. You have nothing but your studies, so it's only natural you do this well, right? What's there to be excited about? Getting perfect score should be a given for you. Don't come reporting every little thing like this." I was lost for words, shocked. And at that moment, I resented Kelly. Despite being twins, Kelly easily received praise, while I, doing what was expected, got nothing but cold looks. Why was I the only one subjected to this? Frustrated beyond belief, I couldn't feel any joy from the celebration, retreating to my room to cry. The only solace I had was my dad, a doctor. By the time I entered middle school, he had started his own practice and is still a doctor today. "Mary, just focus on what you love at your own pace. It's your life. You don't have to always listen to what your mom and I say, you know?" In my father's arms, I cried out all that I had been holding back. If I had my dad, that was enough. I decided to stop longing for love from my mom. That was the moment I made up my mind. "Mary, check this out. There were chrysanthemums blooming by the roadside. Isn't that amazing?" Dad, however, was a real space cadet. He'd confidently identify dandelions as chrysanthemums, or spot a fox and shout about a raccoon being present, always off in his own world. He always made me laugh with his quirks. But Kelly looked on with envy, begrudging the attention I got. She wanted everything of mine, taking whatever she could. She couldn't stand me having anything better. That became painfully clear during middle school. Back then, my boyfriend was way out of my league, excelling in academics and sports. When he confessed, I was so surprised I thought I was dreaming. I fell for Mary because she was always studying hard during breaks. While everyone else was playing, she kept at it without paying them any mind, and I thought that was cool. I didn't want to lose to Mary, so I've been studying hard to keep up my grades, you know? I found him so endearing as he shared this, feeling love for him. Thanks to him, I started to appreciate my hardworking self. Just as I was thinking of cherishing him, Kelly came along to ruin my happiness. "Sorry." I kissed Kelly. His sudden confession left me speechless. As I stood there in disbelief, Kelly interjected as if to shield him. "It's not his fault. I fell for him and just couldn't give up. So, please don't blame him. If you're gonna blame anyone, blame me." "No, Kelly, it's my fault." "So, Mary, I'm sorry. I want us to break up." I felt nauseous as if I was watching a bad soap opera. Unaware of Kelly smirking viciously at my misery, I ran away from the scene. After that, I couldn't bring myself to go to school for a while. Being in the same class as them, I couldn't bear to see him and Kelly together, pretending everything was fine. Eventually, I calmed down and started going to school again. By chance, I overheard a shocking conversation between Kelly and some classmates in the hallway. "Seriously, Kelly's pretty awful, isn't she? Stealing her sister's boyfriend, who does that? That's beyond cruel." Because it annoyed me. Despite looking worse than me, she managed to get such a high-spec boyfriend, which I couldn't stand. I'm cuter and more beautiful, after all. so I just took him. If he had noticed me from the start, he would have never fallen for Mary. Man, she's scary. I wouldn't want to be on her bad side. Watching Kelly laugh crudely with the boys, I felt utterly hopeless. Kelly never loved him. She destroyed my happiness and is out of sheer jealousy. I told my ex-boyfriend about it. But he wouldn't listen, and telling Kelly. It only led to relentless bullying from her until we graduated middle school. I thought I'd finally be free after graduation. That's when I received devastating news. Believe it or not, Kelly ended up attending the same high school as me. Though she had planned to go to a different school, somehow she found out my choice and followed me there. My ex-boyfriend, who had applied to another high school, became useless to her and was quickly dumped by Kelly. Since then, I've been living a life without any drama. Just going through the motions until I saw Tom's efforts. I had no motivation to do anything else. But, thanks to Tom, that changed, and I successfully received an offer from the publishing house I had hoped for. I got an earful from my mom for changing my career path without telling her, but thanks to my dad stepping in, I managed to avoid being kicked out of the house. With enough savings, and wanting to fully distance myself from Kelly, I started living on my own when I began dating Tom. And after 5 years, we decided to get engaged. Introducing Tom to my parents for their blessing went better than expected. Especially with my mom, who took a particular liking to him, sparking lively conversations. It was the first time in a while that cheerful laughter filled our home. Only Kelly was looking on enviously. From that day, Tom's visits to our home became more frequent. He was welcomed like a true son, and even invited to a New Year's gathering with relatives. Why not invite Tom's parents and relatives too? My dad and mom love a big crowd, they'd be thrilled. My paternal grandparents owned a restaurant. It was closed this winter, but we planned to gather one last time for a Christmas celebration to honor them. Initially hesitant, Tom's parents agreed to join thanks to my grandparents' persuasion. It made this year's celebration a large affair. Are we good on drinks? If we're running low, I'll go buy more, so make sure Tom's family doesn't hold back, okay? Don't worry, Mom. It looks like Tom's relatives will bring various things too, so no need to fret about that. Talking to my mom used to be all about studies, making these conversations initially nerve-wracking. However, dating Tom seemed to make my mom pay more attention to me, naturally increasing our interactions. What I learned was that my mom worries about everything. She was double-checking preparations and becoming flustered on the day. Seeing this side of her eased my nervousness around her. Today, as she bustled about nervously, I helped alongside her, prompting a nostalgic smile from her. It seems like you've always been right beside me, worrying along, haven't you? What? I was surprised by the sudden comment when my mom, with a somewhat sad smile, began to tell an old story. Despite getting scolded by me every day, you never gave up and always came to my side. Mom, can I help with anything? You'd always ask, while Kelly was out playing. You preferred to be by my side rather than playing. I realized that I was making you worry about me. I know I was cold to you, Mary. I think I was being terrible. As she started to talk while preparing the dinner, I listened quietly. At first, I was strict with Kelly. Even though Kelly was the older sister, she always took things from you, right? Kelly would take your birthday presents, sweets, anything from you. I couldn't let her keep doing that, so there was a time when I was really hard on her. But, the more I scolded Kelly, the worse she treated you. It was a shocking truth. Looking back, I remember my mom glaring at Kelly with a stern face whenever she took my toys. I recall her admonishing Kelly right in front of me a few times. But, at some point, that stopped, and I realized all the criticism was directed at me. Instead of convincing Kelly to listen, she stopped me to prevent harm from Kelly. My mom reluctantly admitted she took advantage of my obedience. Sorry, Mary. I was a bad mom, making you go through so much. Tears welled up in my eyes hearing the reasons and her apology for the first time. Seeing me like this, my mom stopped her work, told me to wait a bit, and then brought something from my grandmother's room to show me. The item brought tears to my eyes, leaving me speechless at the unbelievable reality. This is your first perfect score from elementary school. Remember? You brought it to show me on your birthday. I was truly happy. Mary, you never bragged about your achievements, made your own statement for the first time. This is a precious treasure to me, she said, hugging the test paper, her eyes filling with tears. Afraid of what Kelly might do if it stayed at home. My mom had it kept safe with my grandparents. Knowing this, I cried on my mom's shoulder for the first time. I felt truly loved. That my mom had been watching me all along. The struggles she faced raising us. I was glad to hear her true feelings before getting married. This moment seemed to dissolve any hard feelings between my mom and me, and I thought the New Year's party would end without any issues. As the party wound down and everyone was getting tipsy, I noticed Kelly following Tom to the bathroom and leaving the party hall. A bad feeling prompted me to follow them, but my father-in-law stopped me, insisting we drink together, blocking my way. I couldn't just decline my father-in-law's invitation, so I ended up staying a bit longer with them. After a while, when they went to serve drinks to others, I seized the opportunity to follow Tom and Kelly outside the party hall. But, despite heading to the bathroom, there was no sign of anyone on the first floor. The third floor, being my grandparents' home, was locked. There's no bathroom on the second floor, leaving here as the only option. Yet, their absence raised my suspicions, and I was exploring the area when I heard it. How about it? I'm the better woman, right? From the direction of the kitchen stairs, Kelly's voice echoed. The stairs near the kitchen lead down to the basement, where there's a wine cellar. Kelly supposedly dislikes alcohol, so why head to the wine cellar? And I could hear another voice besides Kelly's. Suspicious, I headed towards the basement, and the voices I heard made me doubt my ears. Tom should just admit it. Everyone prefers me over Mary. Stop. This isn't right. If Mary finds out. After all this, what are you saying? It's not right to let a girl go this far and then act like it's nothing. Are you trying to embarrass me? Or, do you prefer it rough? The voice with Kelly was unmistakably Tom's. Unable to accept the unbelievable situation, I stood frozen in front of the door. I couldn't make a proper judgment without seeing for myself, yet I was too scared to open the door. Gradually, Kelly's sugary voice and Tom's breathy responses began to sound, plunging me into despair. So, Tom, whom I trusted completely, was no different from my ex. He was drowning in Kelly's scheme. Facing this reality, my affection for him cooled instantly. So, Tom was just like the rest after all. A dry smile escaped me as I collapsed on the spot. I thought Tom loved me wholeheartedly, but here he was, so easily becoming Kelly's. It was laughable how pathetic it was. In the end, everyone is mesmerized by Kelly once she's by their side. No one truly cherishes me. With a dry smile and a tear, I resolved to open the door slowly and check inside. Confirming what I feared, the two engrossed in their act hadn't noticed me. Feeling nauseous at their entanglement, I took out my phone. I aimed the camera at Tom and Kelly, capturing the scene on video as evidence, then quickly left for the bathroom. Praising myself for gathering evidence despite feeling sick, I was wondering what to do next. Unexpectedly, my dad appeared from the basement, rushing towards me with an alarmed look.
Mary, there's a burglar!
As soon as he saw me, my dad grabbed my shoulder and blurted out something that made no sense. I couldn't understand the situation at all and tried to calm him down when he started saying he heard noises from the basement.
Your mom wanted to drink some wine. She said there should be some vintage wine in the wine cellar, so she asked me to fetch it. When I went down there, I heard some noises. Our store's been closed, so I thought a burglar, thinking no one was around, came to steal the wine. I've locked it from the outside so they can't escape. Let's call the cops. I'll go tell your mom and the others.
Dad was so panicked he didn't realize it was Tom and Kelly he had locked in the basement. But this was to my advantage. Knowing the two couldn't easily get out, I stopped my dad from calling the police, explained what happened earlier, and went back to the party hall to inform everyone of the situation. An hour later, just as the two had finished their act and were trying to leave the basement. Huh? The door won't open.
What?
Realizing the door was locked, they started to frantically rattle it. Seizing the moment, I flung the door open with force.
Tom, what the hell are you doing?
As they stepped out of the wine cellar, they were met by my father-in-law and all the other relatives, glaring at them. Dad? Why are you here?
What do you mean why? What the hell were you doing?
Caught off guard by the crowd, Kelly and Tom's faces went pale. Unable to comprehend the situation, they just gaped, speechless.
How are you planning to explain this? Excuses like nothing happened won't fly.
Faced with their disarray, I couldn't help but speak sharply, and Kelly's gaze sharply turned towards me.
What do you mean? You're the one who locked us in the wine cellar?
As if I was the villain. Though irritated by Kelly's victim act, I crossed my arms and looked down at her.
Don't get it twisted. It was our dad who locked the door. I was just informed by him. More importantly, what were you two doing here? Seems like you were cozy in the wine cellar for over an hour. Were you engaging in some suspicious activity, maybe? What? Stop making weird accusations. I was just showing Tom the room because he was interested in wine.
Kelly, flustered by my words, scrambled to respond. Hearing her reply, I smirked menacingly and stepped closer. Oh. But Tom's supposed to hate wine. What? He once tried it, didn't like it at all, and has been saying he can't even stand the smell of it to our parents. Kelly, having dug herself into a hole, panicked, her face draining of color. Next to her, Tom was also breaking out in a cold sweat, desperately trying to think of an excuse. Not letting them off the hook, I pulled out my phone.
If you were honest, it might have been different, but if you're going to try to weasel your way out, I have no choice.
What's this then? That's... What? What played on my phone was the scene of their earlier escapade. Kelly and Tom's voices were clearly captured, along with their faces. Faced with undeniable evidence, both were completely panicked. I taunted them with provocative words. I thought you were just showing him the wine. What exactly is this then? I don't get it, I'm dumb, you see. Hey, big sis, what's this? Maybe you can tell me? What exactly were you two doing here for over an hour?
It's not like that. I was forced by Tom. He lured me here and attacked me.
Realizing there was no way out, Kelly immediately started painting Tom as the sole villain. Tom, clearly not expecting to be betrayed, frantically tried to defend himself. And an ugly fight between them ensued.
No, it's not like that. When I was going to the restroom, Kelly followed me, brought me here, and started saying she's liked me way before Mary. She began undressing herself. At first, I resisted, but she threatened me, saying, "Are you going to embarrass me?" I didn't know what to do, couldn't resist, and, before I knew it, things escalated. I'm sorry, Mary. It was a moment of weakness. I deeply regret it. Forgive me.
Tom, pathetic and tearful, knelt down. Seeing him like that, my expression twisted in agony, and my true feelings spilled out. I trusted you. What? I thought you were different. That you only saw me. I'm sorry, Mary. It was my fault. Seeing my expression, Tom seemed genuinely remorseful, rubbing his head on the ground while repeatedly apologizing. However, the more he apologized, the colder my feelings toward him grew. I couldn't muster any affection for him again. If you cared about me even a little, you wouldn't have fallen for Kelly's advances and would have treasured me.
I only love you. Believe me. The most important person to me is you. Shut up, you disgrace.
My father-in-law brushed away Tom's hand as he desperately reached out to me. My father-in-law is a very manly and loyal man. He hates infidelity and disloyalty, unable to forgive his son for such actions. He glared at Tom with fury, bombarding him with harsh words.
No matter the reason, causing such pain to someone you cherish. You're not just unfit to be a husband but also as a man. A guy who can't treasure even one woman has no right to talk about love or anything. That's right. Do you even understand what you've done? Showing us something like this. How could you even say those words after that?
Following my father-in-law's words, Tom's relatives started voicing their condemnation. Given my father-in-law's disdain for the crooked path, he couldn't forgive Tom for being swayed by another woman. Despite everyone watching, Tom was yelled at, shrinking down, crouching on the spot, lost for words.
That's right. Even if I approached him, if Tom had just firmly rejected me, none of this would have happened. It's not my fault for making the approach, but yours for not being able to reject it. Reflect on that, will you? I was just checking if Mary was truly loved, that's all.
Everyone was stunned by Kelly's unbelievable statement. They stared at her, questioning her sanity. What are you talking about? Reacting to Kelly's nonsensical claim, she squeezed my hand as if claiming to be on my side.
Mary, I'm sorry. If I had noticed Tom's promiscuity earlier, you wouldn't have had to go through this sadness. I never thought he was such an irresponsible man. From now on, I'll find a man worthy of you. So, don't get caught up with such trash anymore, okay? Just listen to me.
The moment my patience snapped was when Kelly acted as if she had been looking out for me. Before I could respond to her, a dull thud echoed in the wine cellar.
What the hell is this for Mary? Don't be silly.
That was the sound of my mother punishing Kelly, who looked utterly shocked. Without caring for her reaction, my mother continued sternly.
Acting for Mary's sake? Stop talking nonsense. You've never once acted for Mary's sake. Doing such disgraceful things and still trying to blame someone else? Nobody's fooled by your lies. This won't happen again. I'll protect Mary. Stay away from her.
It was the first time. The first time my mother had lashed out at Kelly so fiercely, and the first time she had clearly shown anger for me. I was so overwhelmed by happiness that I began to sob.
What? After being so harsh on Mary all this time, now you're pretending to be a decent mother? Just because the relatives are watching, you're trying to look good. I turned out this way because you spoiled me, and I learned to measure my worth in such a manner because you always compared me to Mary. Can you stop acting like you're not to blame?
My mother looked shocked by Kelly's words, and my father stepped in front of Kelly to protect her.
You're right, maybe we did make mistakes in how we raised you. But did Mom ever say it was okay to do something like this? Did you think Mary would be happy with what you did? Every time you got scolded, you used someone else as a shield, desperately trying to avoid getting hurt yourself, just a coward. Don't be pathetic, always blaming others. You've sown these seeds yourself.
Kelly, never having been shouted at by my dad before, trembled in fear. I hadn't expected such a stern voice from my normally clueless father, and it stopped my tears.
You've crossed a line you shouldn't have as a person. You'll have to face the consequences.
Punishment. Kelly, seeing my father's serious expression for the first time, was terrified, trembling at what might be said.
From now on, we won't take care of you. You're also banned from interacting with the relatives. There's no one left in the family to help you. Live on your own. Don't ever show your face here again. What?
Kelly was speechless at the unexpected declaration. The relatives nodded in agreement, as if they were all in on the decision. The relatives have been informed. You have no allies left. Pack your bags and leave this house immediately.
But, wait. I have nowhere to go. We don't care. If you say it's bad that your parents spoiled you, then from now on, we'll be heartless towards you. So get out. Don't ever cross our threshold again. Wait. Please. Mary, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I've reflected. So, please persuade Dad and Mom. Don't abandon me. We're the only siblings each other has, aren't we? I don't want a sad goodbye like this. Please forgive me.
Finally realizing the gravity of the situation, Kelly cried and apologized while desperately clinging to my sleeve. However, her pleas did not sway my feelings, and I shook off her hand.
It's too late to come crying now. It's disgusting. I don't think of you as a sister, not even by an inch.
How could you?
Both you and Tom, just stay away from me. If you ever show up in front of me again, I'll make sure you see hell. And I'll be demanding compensation from both of you. Don't think your tears will get you anywhere. Wait. Please, Mary. Listen to me.
Hearing about the compensation, Kelly's face went pale, desperately reaching out to stop me. But my parents blocked her way, and my father-in-law along with other relatives glared at her, all of them casting cold looks. Realizing her defeat, Kelly slumped, deflated, as I left the scene behind. This marked the end of my engagement with Tom and my relationship with Kelly. Since then, I demanded compensation from Kelly. True to my father's declaration, Kelly was disowned from the house. She was scorned by all our relatives, likely taking a heavy toll on her mentally. She never talked back. But when it came time to kick her out, she desperately pleaded in front of the house, thinking it over. However, no one lent an ear to Kelly's cries, and a neighbor, fed up with the noise, called the police. Scared by the sound of police sirens, Kelly fled from her family home and took refuge at a friend's place. Knowing her predicament, I further pushed her to the edge by spreading the story among classmates and acquaintances. I returned to Kelly everything she had done to me. Her friends, informed of the situation, stopped harboring Kelly, labeled her as inhuman, and cut ties with her. Currently, Kelly is living in poverty in a remote rural area. Tom, too, faced disdain from our high school classmates, losing all his friends. Everyone treated him like a pariah, keeping their distance to avoid getting involved in any trouble. Moreover, having his broken engagement known among his coworkers, Tom felt too awkward to continue working there and quit as if fleeing. Lacking any real skills, he's struggling to find new employment. But that doesn't mean I'm about to forgive him. I demanded compensation, including the cancellation fee for the reserved wedding venue, and with the help of my father-in-law, ensured it's transferred to my account monthly. Thus, I successfully settled matters with both of them. I moved out of the apartment I was living in alone, returned to my parents' house, and now live happily with them. Hey, Mary. What about this? I think it suits you. Mom, I'm already 30, you know? Don't bring me clothes with teddy bear patches because we couldn't do it when I was a child. And where did you even find adult clothes like that? I'm surprised they even make them. My mother tried to make up for the time we couldn't spend together, and my dad watched us with a pleased smile. Seeing their happy faces became my source of joy.